Hey everyone, how are you guys doing? Uh, New day, but the end of the week. um, so we were talking about the focus a CISO needs to have and the topics that should be on a CISO's mind, and his focus should be on some topics. And we had a number of videos in this series, if you will. And today we're going to talk about number 8. And today we're going to talk about cloud security. Now, if this video was 10 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about cloud at all. There were very handful of companies that were actually leveraging cloud for their day-to-day business. But today, it's different. It's if you are not in the cloud, you are not relevant. It's almost come to that. So any CISO should and would need to be concerned with cloud security. And when I say cloud security, is the first thing you have to do is know or have in mind, create a goal, create a governance around this about what, again, you have to choose a cloud vendor, provided you want to go to the cloud. You have to choose a cloud vendor and then do analysis of the various providers. Usually it's between the three, the three of AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. You have to make a choice about which cloud service or which cloud provider you're going to leverage. If you're going to leverage a single cloud provider or multi-cloud provider, and what you're going to use them for. There should be a governance around what you're going to do in terms of your architecture in those cloud providers environments, whether one or two or three or any other. The first thing you have to do is do an analysis and do a comparison for what you need, the way you need it, and what do those cloud providers, what are the services that the cloud providers provide, and whether talk to other CISOs, talk to other knowledgeable people as to what they are doing, and if any of the cloud providers have an edge over the other. So first thing is select a good cloud provider, have a governance about what you're going to use them for and what you want to put on the cloud, what you want to keep on premise. That is very important because that will tie into something we're going to talk about a little later. Once you select the cloud provider, once you select the governance around it, make sure you have a good security architecture, because if you're going to put something in the cloud, you better be secure. Because we, having been on premise, CISOs have a good hold on how secure and the way to secure certain things. But with the cloud, it's not very different, but it's a little different. So the CISOs need to be aware about, not aware, they need to create a good architecture in the cloud for the things that they're putting in the cloud. Having said that, once you decide to go on the cloud, you do a good architecture that should tie in with any compliance needs that you have. First of all, your compliance needs will dictate or influence your choice. Either you want to go on the cloud or not, and which provider you may want to choose. But outside of that, when you have the architecture, make sure it's compliant with what you are if you're regulated, what the compliance and the standard that you're regulated, and the standard that you're supposed to adhere to. Make sure that your architecture um, um, satisfies those standards and the regulations. After you do that, after you have a good security architecture, and you put your stuff in there, make sure that you have a good cloud monitoring, because it's very easy to put stuff in there but very difficult to monitor that it's being used correctly. So just as when you do your when you have your organization architecture on premise, you do put monitoring in place to make sure that it's used properly, it's not abused, there's no breaches, data leaks, etc., etc. The same thing you would do when you put your architecture in the cloud. You need to make sure that it's protected, it's secure. You need to monitor it in terms of any breaches, any leaks, any abuses that are taking place. So you need to make sure that you are monitoring for all those things. And last but not the least, this is the last thing that I was saying. It will tie into the fourth thing or the last thing, the usage of your end users as well as your administrators. you would need to choose a good cloud provider which satisfies all your needs, good architecture. You also need to have an admin group, developers, administrators, security administrators, all that bunch of staff that you would have that need to have cloud experience, need to have been trained on using your one cloud provider, multi cloud provider. They need to be aware about how to use, how to monitor, how to administer their cloud environment, as well as the end users who will use those environments. They also need to be trained. They need to be aware of what they can put in the cloud, what they cannot put in the cloud, just like you would train them about how to use their computer, your network, your organization network, your VPN, etc., etc., and what to keep where and what not to keep where. The same thing applies to the cloud. They need to know what they can upload to the cloud, where do they store their information, what applications do they use, what applications they do not use, all those things. So your staff and your end users, keep them trained, keep them aware about their responsibilities in the cloud, and altogether, if you do these things, the CISO would have a good control over cloud security and the company's infrastructure in the cloud, as well as their important data assets, anything that's important to the company. If it's in the cloud, this should be in your focus. So I hope you like the video, and I'll meet you soon in the next. And let's see what the next topic will be. All right, guys. You guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.